show up.
Hey, this is Troy Taylor with the Championship Football Coaches Clinic, and I got Coach Mountjoy here. He's going to be talking about his 60 passing game, which is his quick game. Coach Mountjoy, Coach Mountjoy is on the Facebook, and he's looking forward to be streaming. Coach, can you see it on the Facebook?
Not yet. I
Okay.
Just see. I'm on Facebook, and I see your picture, and it says Troy Taylor is live now, but I don't see.
All right. Well,
I
press
don't see a connection with me.
Well, where it says I'm going live, press that, Coach.
All right. Let me see. Okay. All right. I just pressed that. It says this live video is ended.
Okay.
Available to watch on Troy Taylor's event shortly.
Can you go to YouTube?
Yeah, but wait a minute. All right, let's type in YouTube here. Hold on. Okay, it says YouTube now. What I put in there?
Totem Pole Nation.
All right, just a minute. Totem Pole Nation. Sounds like something the Indians do.
Yeah, it is. Coach, we're the low man on the totem pole, Coach.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Hold on. Now, so I see totem pole. Oh, wait, is totem pole one word or two?
2 words.
All right, I don't see you on here. I see Totem Pole Nation.
All right, well, click on the blue screen, Totem Pole Nation, and then you'll see me.
All right, let me see. Wait a minute now. All right, I see it. Okay, I got it. All right. I see it now. I've got it.
All right, I'm gonna move your picture out of the way, Coach, because it's getting in the way of the 60s.
That's fine. Just take the picture away. I'm glad you don't have me today because I haven't shaved in a week. I look like a werewolf.
Okay, good, Coach. Can you see the 60 series there?
Yeah, I got it there. That's good. Hold it. Don't get any bigger than that yet. That's good right there. Take it up so that you see the first diagram better, just a little bit. Take it up so you can see all of the first diagram.
Hitch first to soft corner.
Just take it up so you can see the diagram there. We ain't going too far now. That's good right there.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, Coach.
Okay, the 60 series, or the quick series. Now, you see the quarterback drawn under center, pretty much. This is just as good from the gun or the pistol. The reason that we originally threw this more from under center is that we found out that the quarterback, this all happens real quick, and if the quarterback is in a gun or a pistol, he can get the snap and turn and throw right away without taking any further steps. However, he can't look the ball in and do a good job of reading the coverage either. So, that's another reason. I know that the Denver Broncos cut Brian Greasy, the quarterback, one year because he could not see the snap and read the coverage at the same time. In other words, he couldn't look through the football to the coverage. And looking for the ball made him slow in reading the coverage on the snap. So it can be done for under center. It can be done gun. It can be done pistol, depending on how quick you want your quarterback to make his reads and how he's able to do it. But the theory of the 60 series or the quick game is that anytime you play one-on-one on my wide receivers, particularly if it's off coverage one-on-one, backed off at 8 yards deep, let's say like a cover 3, for example, we will throw this a ton. And we say that we like to throw the ball 50% of the time on first down, and we do this as well as some play action. But we talked about the timing on the 60 series last week, but I'll repeat this briefly. The quarterback's going to set up, if he's under center, will set up at 3 or 4 yards deep. If he's in the gun, of course, he's 4.5 or 5 already. And he's going to set up in 0.8 of a second, and this is important, and he's going to get the ball out in 1.3 on 2 of these diagrams and 1.8 on the third one. He's going to get the ball out in 1.3 on the hitch, probably on the slant, although that might be a little delayed, and 1.8 on the fade. Now, these are 3 passes we're going to talk about. So he'll get the ball out in 0.8 of a second on the hitch, 1.3 to 1.8 on the slant and 1.8 on the slant itself. On the fade. And it's important to remember that we talked about the protection. We talked about that last time we were on. It's 7-man protection. You're going to have the 2 wide receivers are going to release, free release. One of the tight ends will free release, and the running back and the other tight end will check release. They'll check their way out. So we might get 5 out, but it's going to be at least 3 out, and it's going to be what we call 7-man protection. 3 free releases, 2 check releases. We also say that this is great against an 8-man front. We don't have any hot routes or any sight adjustments, but it's great against a blitz because it comes out so quick. And when we say that we throw this series, if we get one-on-one on the wide receivers, and we say it's really good on a cover 3 or 8-man front. Anytime they walk the flat coverage man out, let's just say you've got a outside linebacker covering the flat on this first diagram. If he walks out to get under the hitch, obviously the hitch won't be as good, but running the ball where he left, maybe with an outside zone or something. So we're going to throw this against an 8-man front, particularly if the corners are off. We will. The only other thing we're concerned about is that outside linebacker, whether he's halfway out between the tight end and the flank of that diagram. If he's halfway out or more, if he's more than halfway out, we're not going to throw it. If he's halfway out, we can throw it, depending on whether he favors the tight end. And if he's any further in towards the tight end, we can throw it. So depending on whether the man covering the flat coverage men are lined up. Now, getting back to, let's just start the rest of the talk on the 60 series. The routes of the wide receivers are optional. That means that it can vary, and they're based on the coverage that the receiver has to his side. The quarterback knows what routes the receiver will run against various coverages. So the quarterback and the receivers are reading the coverage to determine the route to be run. We have the wide receivers hand signal to the quarterbacks prior to the snap. I know when my son played at Mills Godman High School, they were good at this. He went 10-0 regular season that year, and they featured this series. So the wide receiver is going to run 1 of 3 different routes based on the coverage, and we said this is done by hand signals. And the first route, and the most important one, is the hitch. And we like that against a soft corner who is off the wide receiver. So if the coverage on the wide receiver is a soft corner playing off the ball, generally 8 yards, let's say, then the receiver is going to run a hitch. And he hand signals that to the quarterback. And the way that we taught that, he would take his inside hand, so the quarterback can see, and grab his waistline or belt line and pull it up like he's hitching his pants up. And that would tell the quarterback he was going to run a hitch. Now, the inside receiver, the tight end, and this is really important, you can do that 2 ways. If you're doing this with the routes being optional, you can block the tight end for an extra blocker, or you can release him on a hitch. You can take an outside release and push up to about 6 yards deep and run a hitch. Now, the wide receiver's hitch is going to be on 5 steps. He starts with his inside foot back. He takes 5 steps, and he stops right there. Pivots quickly to the quarterback. He does not come back to the ball because the ball will be in the air. By the time the wide receiver stops, the ball will be halfway there with the timing on this. Quarterbacks will take his 3 steps. He'll be set in 0.8 of a second, and the wide receiver taking 5 steps. It'll take him probably 1.5 seconds to get open. So if the quarterback's set in 0.8 of a second, the quarterback will get the ball out in 1.3. If the wide receiver stops in 1.5, the ball will be halfway there when he turns his head. Well, that's perfect timing on this, and you want that. So that's the hitch. And it's very important also the split of the wide receiver. We want him at 12 yards out on this. 12 yards out. That's very important. Not any more, not any less.
When you say 12 yards out, you're talking about 12 yards from the tackle?
From the tight end, I'm sorry.
From the tight end, yes, sir.
End's alignment. Or if there's no tight end, it would be 12 yards where a tight end was. A ghost tight end, you call it. So he's going to split 12 yards, wide receiver, outside foot back. He's going to take 5 steps and slam on brakes. quarterback will take 3 and throw the ball. And once again, the tight end can either block or he can run a hitch at 6 yards deep. But we'll always look for the outside receiver first on this. We progress out first. Now, if there was a man halfway between them, and he jumped the flanker, we could come back to the tight end. Or if he jumped the tight end, we would go to the flanker. But the flanker is the first choice on the hitch. All right, any questions about that one? I'll take it up to the next one, the slant versus the hard corner. Now, these 3 hand signals and 3 routes are going to be based on where the corners are playing. Take the picture up so I can see the slant versus the hard corner. All right, whoa. Slant versus a hard corner. If the corner is playing outside and he's rolled up, like in a cover 2 or cover 3 cloud look up tight to the outside of the wide receiver, then the wide receiver is going to run a slant. And the way the wide receiver would signal this to the quarterback, he would pat his inside leg, his inside thigh. Patting his inside thigh tells the quarterback, I'm going to run a slant because that corner now has moved up and is on my outside, anywhere from probably 2 to 5 yards deep, however the people play him. Now, when the wide receiver signals a slant, the tight end, who he looks out, he sees the wide receiver signal a slant, he's going to run a flat route coming under the wide receiver, no deeper than 4 yards deep. And when he runs his flat route, or blocks, he can block. You can have the tight end stay in on this. And the younger age groups, I might add this, when we gave this to a 10 to 12-year-old age group feeder team we had, and also to our middle school, we'd tell them just go ahead and block the tight end and let the quarterback work one-on-one. So, but if the wide receiver signals a slant, on the high school level, generally the tight end will run the flat coming under him, aiming 4 yards deep, and the quarterback will look first for the slant and second for the tight end in his progression. But this is good when the corner is rolled up on the outside. Once again, the wide receiver's got his outside foot back, but instead of taking 5 steps on this, he's going to take 3 steps. And when he cuts, he'll cut it 45 degrees. Look for the ball right away. Once again, the quarterback will take 3 steps. He'll be set in 8/10 of a second, and he'll throw the ball. Generally, if he hits him on the break, it'll be 1.3. But if he's not open on the break, he'll hit him when he gets, let's say, inside the flat coverage, between the flat coverage and the linebacker. That might be 1.8. So that could be 1.3 or 1.8. Whereas a hitch is always 1.3, and the slant could be 1.3 to 1.8. We'd like to get it out in 1.3, but it might be 1.8. Let me see what else I can tell you about that one. All right, that's pretty much a slant versus a hard corner. Now take that up a little higher because I can't see all of fade versus press because Totem Pole Nation's blocking out that. Take it up a little higher. Whoa. All right. The third option we have is to fade. So a fade, if they're playing press or bump and run, the difference between the one above that, the roll corner, is on the outside and up. The press corner is on the inside and up. And he's playing bump and run man. But if the wide receiver sees the corner on his inside to play press coverage or man under coverage, he then signals a fade to the quarterback. And his signal for a fade is just to grab his face mask and with his inside hand and pull on it once. And that's a signal for the fade. And in this, he doesn't count his steps. He steps into the technique of the corner and then gives off to the outside and gets him with that 5-yard takeoff lane where he stays 5 yards from the boundary and runs a fade. Generally, the fade is caught around 18 yards deep. It's deeper than the corner and in front of a cover 2 safety who might be coming over the top. Now, the tight end, if we hand signal a fade, he has a choice of either running a seam route, which means go up the hash, just take off up the hash, look for the ball deep, 15, 18 yards deep, or blocking. You do either one. And like I said, we have the younger kids, the 8 to 10-year-old feeders run this series, and they will they'll block the tight ends and give the quarterback less to be concerned with. But On middle school kids could be either way. High school kids, we pretty much want the tight end to run a seam route up the hash. Once again, the wide receiver splits 12 yards from the tight end. He splits the 12 yards from the tight end on this entire series, on the 60 series. We don't run a quick out because it doesn't give you anything that a hitch wouldn't give you. The ball would be caught in the same place. If we ran a quick out, the wide receiver would come into 8 yards deep, so we give him room to the outside on the cut. But since we don't run a quick out, and I don't like a quick out, I know that Joe Gibbs coached the Redskins, they wouldn't even have the quick out in the playbook. So since we don't run a quick out, we can run the hitch, the slant, and the fade with the wide receiver splitting 12 yards on all of them. Now, they're the three basic options we have in the three-step game, and the quarterback has some very important rules. So if you take it up a little higher where I can see the quarterback rules from there towards the bottom of the page.
Yeah, Coach.
Take that up because that Totem Pole Nation's.
All right, Coach, I have a question. This is Coach Tatum, Ian Tatum from North Carolina, and on March 18th, he's having an offensive line clinic from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I told him he needs to hit you up. He said, "This is fantastic. Tell Coach it is a pleasure listening to him." Coach Tatum, I'm pretty sure Coach Mountjoy will come on your clinic. I just have him on the phone. I'm recording his voice as I'm presenting. So he's Bill Mountjoy at yahoo.com.
Yeah, have him email me or phone me, either one, and tell me exactly what he wants me to talk about.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
All right, the quarterback rules. Are you ready to go on to that?
I'm ready, Coach. I'm ready, Coach.
All right, the quarterback rules on these three passes. Now, you've got the hitch, the slant, and the fade. Now, here's the quarterback's rules. With a wide receiver on both sides, and each wide receiver is making his hand signals, we give the quarterback a few simple rules. And they are as follows. If both receivers run a hitch route, then he's going to throw the shortest hitch because to the side where you have the shortest throw, because the ball won't be in the air as long. But if one wide receiver signals a hitch and the other one signals anything else, we're going to throw the hitch. And this is very important for the quarterback to know this, and we work very hard on this. If both receivers run a slant, throw the widest slant. So you're going to throw the shortest hitch or the widest slant, because obviously the slant's breaking in, you got more room to run in or to lead him in. But the hitch, of course, obviously you want the shortest throw because he's be stationary when he catches the ball. The slant, he'll be on the move. If both receivers were to run a fade, you take the shortest throw, because the fade is going to be thrown deeper. It's the deeper out of the three. And we've hit that thing for some pretty big gains. Versus man is pretty much a one-on-one. He's going to beat the guy deep on cover two. He gets in that fade hole, seam 18 yards deep, catches the ball. But if both receivers ran a fade, you take the shortest throw, because obviously if you threw a fade to the wide field, the ball could be in the air quite a while. So note, we want to take the shortest, safest throw. Therefore, we will always throw the hitch first if it's available. Now, before you turn to the next page, from here on, I take out three basic routes: the hitch, the fade, and the slant, and I have a separate sheet on each one that we give to the quarterbacks. Then when we get to these, this is pretty much like if we just wanted to throw the hitch, I have a page on that. If we just wanted to throw the slant, I have a page on that. Or if we just wanted to throw the fade, I'd have a page on that. Sometimes we would do that where it would not be optional, where we know the coverage we're going to get, we would call it and expect to stay with it. But on page one, what I've just shown you, that's pretty much where we are not positive of the coverage, and we want to have the best route call for the coverage we're getting. So they're pretty much the hand signals take care of that. So if you turn to page two, now once again, before we go to page two, remember that last week I went into the pass protection and I went into the quarterback steps and all that on the 3 and 5 step drop, 50s and 60s. And I can do that again if we need to in this talk. If anybody wants to see more on the protection, I can talk about that. But that's on the last show, and they can pull that one up, I'm sure. So if you turn to the next page, go to the very next page 2. And we have the hitch and the fade on page 2.
The diagram?
Yeah, page 2. The hitch and the fade are both on page 2, and they are. The reason I've got them both on the same pages is that the fade is just a continuation of the hitch, and it would be a pattern conversion too. If you call a hitch and they fooled you and rolled up, they fade. So go to page 2.
Yeah, Coach, I'm on page 2, the diagram, right?
I don't see page 2 though. You're on the second diagram on page 1. I want to see page 2.
Okay, you sent me
4 pages.
Mountjoy 60.
I sent 4 pages on the 60 series. This would be page 2 of the 4 pages on the 60 series.
And the second page of the 60 series is a diagram with all hitch and 4 verts on.
Yeah, that's the one I want to see.
And is that the one that's showing?
No, you're showing page 1 still. Wait a minute, hold it here. I still see page 1. Maybe I'm. Wait a second here. I still see page 1. You might ask, does anybody else see page 2 yet?
I mean, I'm sharing this tab, and you got your diagram for the all hitch. You got your diagram for the 4 verts.
Yeah, but I don't see it. I've lost something here. I've lost you on here, actually.
Okay, just go back to youtube.com and then put.
Hang on. Let me see here. All right.
Coach Tatum says it's on page 2.
Yeah, I don't.
Coach McNally says that. Do you need him to help you?
I said if his knee is better, he can help. The last time he helped me, his knee was messed up. And mine was also. I don't know why I can't get to page 2 here, but let me see.
Go to youtube.com.
I am. I'm just trying to. Wait a minute now. I think I'm coming along here. Okay, I got it now, finally. All right. I'm sorry. It's my computer.
No, Coach, it's all right, Coach. Coach, you have an iPad?
No, I don't even know what an iPad is. Hold on a minute.
Have you got a steno pad?
No, I don't have one of them. Let's see, page 2. Oh, Lord. Okay, anyway, so if you've got the diagram up on page 2.
Yes.
Let me see. All right. Okay, let's talk about that. All right. It says 60-61 pass. All right, that's the hitch. And 60 up and 61 up, that's the fade. And the reason I have them on the same page and in the same diagram is that if we were to call the hitches and they roll the corners up and jump the wide receivers, they would fade it. So the hitch would become a fade in this case, even if it wasn't hand signal. So if we look at this, and it says that starting off 60-61 pass, that's 4 hitches. And basically, if you have 2 men spread across the field, that's the wide receivers, you're making a pre-snap look decision for direction. We're going to pick a side, and if this is not it's a pre-snap read. It is not a post-snap read. We do not try to read the coverage after the snap like we would on the 5-step drops, where we might read the free safety, for example, for direction. In this, we're going to determine the direction before we throw the ball. In other words, which side we're going to. It happens too quick. We're set in 0.8 of a second. The ball's coming out 1.3. We do not have time to trigger read the coverage to decide what side of the field we're going to go after the snap. So we're going to make a pre-snap look. And once you've picked the side, you're going to the side that has the softest corner and the tightest aligned flat coverage man. Because if the corner's not soft or off, and the flat coverage man is out under the pattern, pre-snap, he can't throw it. So the pre-snap read is based on the wide receiver who has the softest corner on him, and generally with the tightest flat coverage man, tightest to the box. We're going to stay to that side and progress from the outside receiver to the inside receiver off of the flat coverage from outside in. And if you look at that diagram on the 4 hitches, you can see them at 6 yards depth. That if you choose the left, we're going to progress from X to H. We can get that done in the time allotted. If you choose the right in the same diagram, we're going to progress from Z to Y, likewise on the same side. But it's important to remember we're throwing the hitch to the outside wide receiver, to the side chosen. Unless the flat coverage man is in the throwing lane, then you've got to go to the inside receiver on that same side. For the running back, we had him check out, but he is not in the progression to receive the ball. We don't tell him he's not going to get the ball on this, because on the hitches, because when we go to the 4 verticals, he does get the ball pretty often. I know when I was coaching in Division II, we won the spring games, even if it was the spring practice ending game against the defense by hitting the running back on that little checkout on the 4 verticals, the 60-61 up, and he took the ball all the way in and made the defensive coordinator mad. But anyway, now take that up so that we can see the 60 up, 61 up information at the bottom of the page. That's the 4 verts.
Yes, sir.
The 4 verticals at the bottom of the page. All right, let me see. Well, come back down, the other way. Down. Take it back where I can see where it says 60 up, 61 up. Right there. All right. If we get hard corners, wait a minute now. You've lost me again. Let me see. Yeah, all right. If we get hard corners, we either call the 60 up, 61 up, which is 4 verticals, or convert to the 60 up, 61 up. If we call it, the inside receivers, of course, are going to run the seams. If we convert it, they may not see that. They might be stuck on the hitch, but that's all right. It doesn't make any difference. So we're making a pre-snap look for direction for decision, or decision for direction, excuse me. Once you've chosen a side, now we want to throw, instead of the deepest corner, we want to throw to the side of the tightest corner, or take the shortest throw. Once we have made the decision which side to go to, we're going to stay to that side, and we're going to progress from the inside receiver to the outside receiver off that safety, inside out. So let's say, for example, if you have chosen left at the diagram at the top of the page, we progress from H to X on the same side. If you've chosen to go to the right side, we have chosen to progress from Y to Z on the same side. Now, what the quarterback needs to remember on this, as opposed to what he had to remember up at the top on the 4 hitches, is that if the safety stays head up or outside of the inside receiver on the side we choose, we throw to him on the seam post. If the safety is inside of the inside receiver, we're going to the wide receiver on the up to the same side, the up being the deep fade. Now, the running back does become number 3 in the progression on this, and that's only if number 1 and number 2 will both cover. If, let's say, for example, if the safeties are deep and 2 safeties are high, and they're going to take away the seam routes to the inside receivers, and the inside linebackers jump underneath them and follow them vertically, then we would progress to the running back on he would become the number 3 man in the progression. And like I said, we won a spring game on that one time and drove the defensive coordinator nuts. He said, quit throwing that route. Nobody throws that route against us. I said, well, you left it open. Okay, go to the next page, Coach.
Yes, sir.
The slant pass. It's a double right 62 pass. All right, whoa. All right. That's 62 pass, and our numbers don't make any sense, so I would advise anybody watching this not to try to copy our number system. But that's a slant, And, of course, that's a pass that Bill Walsh popularized of Joe Montana throwing to Jerry Rice. And you can see in the diagram that wide receivers have their outside foot back, and they're going to run a three-step slant, and they're going to cut it about a 45-degree angle. And you have H and Y both running flat routes under that at a depth of 4 yards deep. And getting to the coaching points on that, the quarterback's going to make a pre-snap look for decision, for direction. Once he has chosen a side, he's going to stay to that side, and he's going to progress from the slant to the flat. We progress inside out. Slant routes inside, the flat routes outside. On the hitch, it's outside in. On the slant, it's inside out. And let's say, for example, the diagram, if he's chosen to go to the left, he would look first for X and second to H. And if he's chosen to go to the right, he'd look first for Z and second to Y. And it's important to remember that you throw the slant to the wide receiver on the side chosen unless there is underneath coverage in the throwing lane. Then you go to the inside receiver to the same side on the flat route. Running back is not considered in the progression of 62-63. He's of the three-step drop passes. When we throw the hitch, we don't consider the running back number 3 in the progression. If we throw he's check releasing. If we throw the fade, we do consider the running back 3rd in the progression of 60 up, 61 up. And if we're throwing the flats, we do not consider the running back 3rd in the progression. You don't have time. Then we get to that 5-step game. The running back is always, in our protection, he's always in the progression, always. And we throw quite a bit to the running back. All right, so it says coaching points. You're not looking at defenders. You're looking for the passing lanes. Passing lanes meaning holes, seams, gaps, void spaces, open windows, etc., which become available to throw the ball into. We're looking to the slant coming into the curl zone, and if there's nothing between you and him, we'll throw it in there. If there's someone in the throwing lane, then we're going to the flat. All right, if you go to the next diagram, and I don't know how they're going to see this one because it's the page is tilted.
I can turn it, Coach.
Go to the next diagram and turn the page. This is very important. All right, there we go. This what we call a 60 up H tag. This is in our entire offense. This is our best blitz beater. And I know when Dennis Erickson won, I don't know how many national championships at the University of Miami.
He won one that I know of. He took over for Jimmy Johnson, right?
No, Dennis Erickson, when he was at Miami, he won a couple. But anyway, this was his entire blitz beater package. And when Jim Woodson at Powhatan was using this, he won a lot of games on this, and this has been big for us. But when in our blitz beater, we want to go to a 3-1 set, which we refer to as flood in the diagram. That's our flood formation. As opposed to double in the other diagrams. And all of these can be run for more than one formation. But in this 60 up H tag, the 3-1 set posse personnel being 3 wides, 1 tight, 1 running back. You see H is flexed 5 yards from the right tackle. Z is probably 10 yards, another 5 yards from H. 10 yards from a tackle, and X is another 5 yards from Z, which is 15 yards from a tackle. And the way we do this, the R-back's not going to check out. He isn't going to be in the progression. This is a blitz beater. And when teams blitz us, they give it away with a free safety. If the free safety were to come over and line up on H, that would indicate to us that they were going to blitz, because the corner would be on X, strong safety would be on Z, and the free safety would be on H, and backside corner would be on Y, who's not going out on this anyway. So, anyway, this is what we do. X is going to run an up route. In other words, he's going to stay 5 yards from the sidelines.
Hey, Coach Mountjoy, we have a question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Coach Tatum wants to know, will Coach use the quick game pass to open up the drop back, or will he call it whenever he likes? Why do you call the quick game, Coach?
Quick game is best. It's great against cover 3. It's great against blitzes. would say that anytime, if you go back to page 1, we got off corners. It's great against off corners. It isn't quite as good against rolled up corners where you're forced to throw a slant, or press corners where you're forced to throw a fade. But if the corners are off and then the flat coverage is not too wide, we think we can throw a hitch all day long. Joe Gibbs always said that the hitch was the best single play in football. He said because if you throw a hitch, he catches the ball at 6 yards deep. That's just as good as running a sweep around in for 6 yards.
I mean, you like to throw the quick game. You like to throw the quick game to open up the run. Because, I mean, Coach Tatum, he's not a passing coach.
Our entire passing game is probably there to open up the run. But if you think about this for a minute, if we throw the quick game, the hitch has 3 purposes. And this is the key to your question. If you throw a hitch and complete it, and it's an easy completion. With Darren Perry and Craig Aikens, the quarterback, we would complete a hitch against a cover 3 team 80-some% of the time. That's pretty good. And you're going to get 6 yards on a catch and more yards on the run. If the corner misses a tackle, he's got a big gain. And we catch the ball, pivot to the outside, and go. But anyway, going back, the hitch is the same thing as a sweep that's already got 6 yards downfield. That's a sweep. Then the hitch is, if they're playing off coverage, it's a easy completion, 80% completion. If they roll up, it fades, and now you got the deep pass. If you remember when Doug Williams ate up the Denver Broncos in the '87 Super Bowl, they called a hitch, and the corner rolled up. He converted it to a fade to, I believe, Ricky Sanders. That was a cheap touchdown. So you've got 3 things in this pass. It can be a sweep, because you're getting the ball out to where a sweep would go 6 yards around the corner. It could be a short pass if the corners play off, and it could be a deep pass if the corners roll up. So that's 3 plays in one, and that's the reason we like it. I hope that answers Coach Tatum's question. But going back to this a minute, X runs it up. He's staying out near the sidelines. Z runs it up. He's staying in the middle of the outside third in the numbers area. Now, H is going to run a tag, and the quarterback is going to call us at the line. And it's based on this. If the quarterback sees a free safety within 1 to 5 yards of the lineup on H, and the giveaway on this is the free safety is going to come over and line up on H on all these, on the blitz. So if the free safety is from 1 to 5 yards off of H, we make a blue call, which means we're going to the wild blue yonder. And then we're going to run the up route from the hash to the middle of the field area. H will go up the hash with the option of breaking it in the middle of the field on the bender. So that's blue. Now, if the free safety backs off to 6 or 7 yards deep, where he's neither up nor back too deep, we make a white call. In this, he's going to run 6 yards deep, put a stick on the free safety, and cut out at 6 yards. Now, that's we really get that release to these 3. Now, if we make a red call, that means that the free safety is 8 yards deep or more, then we're going to run a straight arrow to the flat at the depth of 4 yards. You can see that. So if you look at H's routes, the top route, that's a blue call. The middle route, the top route's a deep seam route, the blue call. The middle route is a square out, and that's a white call. And the bottom route is red, where he gets to the flat right now and gets the ball. And that's what we like, and we get a lot of mileage out of that, particularly that red situation. Well, I can check out on a seam route, but you don't have to send him out. We don't really go back to him on this. R can check out on a circle over the ball, but you don't have to do that either, because we really don't consider him to be in the progression. On this, pretty much what we're doing is we're going to go to H. H becomes an object receiver. That means he's the guy that we want to get the ball to. He's the guy we're looking for. And 90% of the time on the series, he would get the ball, 95% of the time. But that's a great blitz beater. And we like it from the posse 3-1 set. It could be run from other sets as well. It could be run from 2-2 sets, with 2 receivers on either side. But we like it like this. And once again, Erickson, we visited them when I coached in college. We visited Miami, Dennis Erickson. We visited Florida with Steve Spurrier, and we visited Florida State with Bobby Bowden. And we felt like they were the 3 teams we wanted to look at. And we spent a lot of time with Miami. This is basically all they did against in blitz situations. We take 3 steps. That's a 60 series. And we call it 60 up because X and Z are running up routes, and H is on a tag. So we go in the huddle, 60 up, H tag. And then we got to the line, the quarterback would look at the free safety, and he'd make a blue call if the free safety was within 1 to 5 yards of the line of the H-back, a white call if he was a little deeper, 6 to 7 yards deep, and a red call if he was 8 yards deep or more. And got a lot of mileage out of this. But take that up a little bit. I don't know if there's anything other or not. Probably not.
No, that's it, Coach.
Yeah. How are we doing on time?
We're doing good. It's 3:48. I got Claude Hadaway coming on. He was the head coach at TJ. They threw the ball all the time, scored a lot of points. Then he went to Atlee when they were real good with Roscoe Johnson and Coach McPhee. And then he went to Huguenot with Coach Jennings, whose brother played for the Giants, and he played at Virginia Tech. And then he went to Clover Hill, and he's really good in the passing game. He's going to talk about his spread offense.
Okay.
But he said, take your time, Coach.
Yeah, I haven't got any more to go over except this can be run. It can be run with you can run it from 5-man protection. I don't like 5-man protection. It can be run with 6-man protection, which we will use sparingly. It can be run with 7-man protection, which I favor. And it can be run from quarterback under center, or in the pistol, or in a gun. And it's 3-step timing. Once again, 3-step timing means the quarterback's going to take his 3 steps in 0.8 of a second. He's set 3 to 4 yards deep. If he's dropping from under center, 3 to 4 yards in 0.8 of a second. If he's in the gun, he's already back 4 to 5 yards anyway. He just catches the ball and throws. Gun timing and pistol timing in the 60 series is not to take any steps when you get the snap. You just catch the ball, pivot, and throw. It's like a shortstop going to third or second base. And so it can be run under center, it can be run pistol, it can be run gun, it can be run with 6-man protection or 7-man protection. It can be run, like I see it, from 10 personnel, 11 personnel, 12 personnel. And we like to give this to youth theater teams, a 10 and 12-year-old team. We'll give them this and what I've gone over today, and a couple of play actions, just 1 or 2 little play actions off that best runs. And that's all the 10 and 12-year-old theater teams that feed us. That's all we give them. And the middle schools will do the same thing, essentially. And then when they get to high school, we'll use all this, but then we will add the 5-step passes, which I want to go over in the next talk we have. And you already have the notes from the 5-step passes.
Yes, sir. Do you want to come back on tomorrow and do the 5-step? Coach Tatum has another question. He said, how does Coach communicate when he is under the center, pistol, and shotgun?
Communicate how? What do you mean?
I guess to let the quarterback in the center know that, you're in a shotgun or a pistol or under the center.
I don't run that much gun. Bruce and Justin were running this out of the
most of the teams don't do.
Later on, Jim Woodson. I didn't really teach that. I retired several years
Coach
back.
doesn't believe in the gun. He doesn't believe in shotgun.
I don't particularly. If I were going to run this today, I would either be in the pistol or have my quarterback under. But if I was in the pistol now, let's say.
I mean, you could just say pistol flood, but most teams don't do both.
I see these people in the pistol, they raise their foot, or clap their hands. I would just use a verbal command, probably, and hope high schools don't have to put up the noise as the colleges.
But I'm saying when you call the formation, Coach, I mean, flood would be under the center, and then P flood or pistol flood.
You could run any of these formations.
Coach.
We have our basic formations of this: deuce, double, trips, tray, and flood. And they're the names of our 5 basic formations. And we would just say, we would predetermine if we're in deuce, double, tray, trips, tray, or flood, quarterback's going to be under in the pistol or the gun. That would be learned by play. Say, for example, in the pistol, we would have our running game and our play action passes out of a pistol. And the formation would simply be called deuce, double, trips, tray, or flood. And then we would have a running game and a play action pass. Now, when we went to the gun, we would have to go to the gun sometimes in these dropbacks for no other reason. It's not a change of the offense, but to get the running back up where he can pick up blitz. The running back is a huge blitz pickup man for us, and he can't do that behind the quarterback in a pistol. He can do it behind the quarterback under center because he can get a running start. But for blitz pickup in the pistol, we'd have to cheat the running back up to one side or the other, and then it would look like we're in a gun, but we're not teaching a gun per se. It would not vary. Running game play actions would come out of the pistol, and then if we wanted to do the drop back screens and draws, we'd move him up to one side of the quarterback or the other. And we did enough stuff that way and I see people doing that now. You say, well, if you're in the pistol, you go run a play action. Okay, fine. They pick their poison. Or if you're in a gun, you go drop back screen draw. Fine. And the draw is huge for us. It's our best running play. So it's not like we don't run the we're not go run the ball out of a gun. We run the draw. We get in the pistol. We go run inside zone, outside zone, counter power, and then we got play actions off them. So I mean, we do enough things that's mixed up enough that we don't think we're giving anything away.
Hey, Coach.
But as far as communicating this, we don't really. We just. Of course, obviously, if the quarterback's under center, it's set hike. That's it. We always go on the first down. Always the first down. We don't have second hike, third hike. We'll either come up and say set hike and we're gone. We put a man in motion 50% of the time. So if we go motion, we'll say set, and we'll wait till he gets where he's going to go. Then we'll say hike. And so we're either coming up going fast, real fast, set hike, we're gone. Or we come up and say set, wait for the motion, get where we want him, hike. And that's 50% of the time. So now, if we're in a pistol or the gun, I would say I would just go on and say set hike. I mean, because the noise is not going to be a problem in high school ball. But other coaches are doing this stuff where you see them clapping their hands and raising their leg and stomping their foot down. But I've never done all that stuff. As far as communicating this, I see the question still there from Coach.
Yeah, Coach. I was going to. What's that great story about when someone asked Joe Gibbs why he calls what he calls? Like, why does he call a certain play a certain name? What was it Joe Gibbs used to say?
Well, all I remember him saying was that what he called things didn't make a bit of sense. He said there's no rhyme or reason. He said there's no rhyme or reason from what we call things other than we're comfortable with it.
Yeah. Call it pork and beans. Call it whatever you want. That's a
that's right. He didn't really care. And to me, I'm not so concerned about what I call anything for that matter, as long as it's simple and I can communicate it. I'm more concerned with the execution on all these things, of doing a little bit and doing it well.
Yeah.
But we had basically 5 formations, and we had a lot of we motioned that H-back quite a bit. Of course, remember I told you last time, we always had the best athlete we could find at H. I mean, when you talk about Art Jemison, James Farrier, Byron Thweet, Matt Farrier, Marcus Mines, these guys were all-state high school All-Americans. 4 of them went to the pros. The 5th one set records of EMI running the ball. But we always put a great athlete at H, and we would motion him maybe 50% of the time. And if you watch the Kansas City Chiefs when they beat the Eagles, there's something on the website today about that. I can send it to you. That twice they put the H-back in motion, Kansas City. And he would come inside and pivot to go back outside. Twice he was uncovered in the end zone. 2 touchdowns late in the game in the second half.
Yeah.
And they were on rub type passes, or another word for pick, against man coverage. We did a ton of that stuff. We would move these great H-backs around, and these guys were all state players, and 3 or 4 were high school All-Americans, and 4 of the 5 went to the pros. So we would get guys that all these guys were sprinters in track, and they were big kids. They were all like 6'3", 6'4", 210, 220, 225 with speed. And they would run quarter mile. And Marcus ran the 220. The others ran the quarter mile. A couple of them were heavyweight wrestlers. A couple of others were power forwards in basketball. But we always had a great kid there. And by using these 5 formations and moving our H-back around, like on this tag pass, the last diagram, that features that H-back. and he's a great athlete. We got 3 ways we'll handle the blitz just by using him as an object receiver. So, it's just the way we did things, and it might not suit other people, but everybody's got to do what they believe in.
Yeah. So, Coach, we'll get you back on. If you want to come back tomorrow, you want to go Wednesday. I'm off Monday and Tuesday all day. So if you want to come back Monday or Tuesday during the day, we can do it.
Either way, tomorrow will be all right. What time though?
Let me email you. Probably noon tomorrow.
Okay, well, let me know for sure, though.
Okay, I'll let you know, Coach. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to say to the clinic, Coach, and the guys watching?
Well, if they have my email address, they can contact me. I have more detail than what we've shown. I just put up what we needed to go over on the talk, but I have more depth on all this. Of course, I've got the protections drawn, I've got the formations drawn, all this other stuff that we didn't put up on the screen today. That if they're welcome to email me, you put my email address up for them. Bill, I'll be glad to send them anything they want.
Bill Mountjoy at yahoo.com. Now, Coach McNally.
There will be no caps in the Bill Mountjoy. I see you've got it down there now. That's correct.
And
if
Coach
anybody's listening emails me, I'll send him anything he wants if he just specifies what he would like to see. I have all this stuff written up in detail that we give to the coaches and the players and all that. Coach
McNally's email is Coach McNally because he accidentally said at Best Buy he didn't put the C in there. So he had Coach McNally was his email, he said, for the last 15 years. It was a funny story, Coach. Yeah.
He's a great one. He's almost as old as I am.
Yeah. So we got Coach Mountjoy and Coach McNally. And I think that right there, that's good. All these young coaches, they can learn. 200 combined, y'all have coached for over 100 years.
Total age of Coach McNally and Coach Mountjoy is pushing 200.
Yeah, it's like old Ironsides. I mean,
I know it.
Yeah, y'all been around a long time, Coach, and y'all just giving back. Y'all are giving back to the next generation. So thank you, Coach. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Okay. See you, Coach.